It was.
ACT.
Yeah.
I'm about to start.
Okay. About this right now.
Hey, do you? Do what you gotta do. Okay.
Living color.
You just have to be prepared to suffer the consequences of whatever those actions are.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I was so surprised at how he was looking at me. I was talking to him. I was like, do you need to say something? Do you need help? Like, use real words. And he didn't. And then so Melanie started rubbing his head. And I was like, do you have hand sanitizer? And she was like, I don't. And I'm like, oh my God, what are we doing? And then
I think she's about to sneak me. So she calls my dad, and my dad comes in. He got this big cowboy hat on and everything. And I know he don't know how to read, so I ain't worried about him at all. So he sits next to me.
Now
I don't
know
think
it
he
wasn't about us.
would use the hammer if he was using his gauntlet for evil. This just doesn't make you pure and worthy enough.
That's your phone, though. Straight shenanigans.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Easy Monday Motivation. It is E, the AOC, along with CT, the Chocolate Drop, and Johnny, My Liege. How are you folks doing today? How are you guys doing?
It's Johnny, my liege, Johnny, my liege, Johnny, my liege.
I'm so happy to be back. I'm so happy to be back. I missed y'all. It's great to be back.
Johnny, I know while you were gone and you were dealing with a lot of stuff, and we tried our best to hold it down. CT did some things that, I think you may need to go back, watch the video, and may give us some feedback on. I don't know. But if the day does come where you actually have to give us that feedback from what CT did on the previous episode when you were not here, please just let us know.
I think you guys did a fantastic job, first of all, okay? But I will say at the beginning, there was this like diabolical laugh about it being all boys meeting here. You know what I'm saying? So I said, let me get back to the city so I can get things under control is what needs to happen. That's what needs to happen. But you guys did a great job and I love the conversation.
Well, we definitely had to get ourselves together. The moment that you showed up today, we were kind of, the shenanigans already started and you popped up and instantly, we know how to act. So thank you so much, Johnny, for all that you do. Thank you. I know, shout out to the family. Much love.
So, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. And CT, like, you're not in your normal space. I just want to know, like, man, like, you on the go, you a man on the move, you doing all the things and like moving and grooving. Like, where in the world is CT?
Not San Diego with Carmen. I am in Tampa, Florida.
Nice.
Me and Mel on an excursion. Got baby girl with us, and
nice.
Life is continuing to do all the things that life would do. And as we are thinking about what we want life to do, we want to put some of that into our own hands and in our own control. So maybe more announcements to share later. But as we stand today, it was a beautiful day in Florida.
All right.
Was the sun shining, CT?
The sun was shining, but I was looking at it through an office door because I was working today. I was working today. No rest or for the weary, no time off, if you will.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
It's entrepreneur life.
That's good.
And Johnny, let's be real clear,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I got to pretend to be emotional. It was we were lost without you, and the show isn't the show without you, Johnny.
I know, guys, but it's okay. I approve. You guys did a great job, and I think you held it down very well.
Well, thank you, Johnny, my liege. Well, that turns me into wanting to ask CT to continue our conversation from last week. So I know we started this friendship proximity conversation, and I know that we went over the 4 variable levels of friendship, where we started with acquaintances, then we went to casual, then we went to close, and then we went to best, right? So we broke down some of those distinctions and how people progress through these levels, and the fact that you can go up and down through these levels. Okay, you can be a best friend and be demoted to an acquaintance. Okay, and you can be an acquaintance and make it to be a best friend. You can be close and then just move to being kind of casual, and you can be casual and move into a close space. So we know that there is movement there. So CT, I set that up so that you can continue and kick us off into this conversation. So I'll pass it to you.
No, I think the thing I love the most about last week is it really, I think, set the foundation for how we want to think about like people graduating from level to level and place to place. And if you were one thing at one point in time, you can become something different, but you could also fall back down that slide if you were, depending on what may happen in your life. And as we think about part 2 today, we've got a guest that we're going to get to in just a second. But Johnny, I know you got a chance to listen to the show. EMM Family, if you didn't get a chance to listen to episode 1, please go back and check it out, because it really does add a little bit of texture around this concept of proximity and friendship proximity in particular. And today we're going to get a little bit more nuanced and a little bit more specific. Cam, I want you to do me a favor. I want to put up a slide, a picture, if you will. And then Johnny, put the picture up for me, Cam. And then Johnny, I want you to react to this picture. When you see this picture, what comes to your mind, Johnny?
Oh gosh, there's a lot of things that come to my mind. Y'all see, I'm like tiptoeing around what I want to say. I mean, it was a very well-known show, right? Very popular show, and it was popular because of the chemistry of those individuals on and off the show. You know, it's called Friends, but they had a very close bond outside of the show. So that's what I would say. It's this chemistry that you can see as you're watching the television show.
And so what I heard you say is that there was layers, but there's 2 levels to Friends. Like the show was called Friends, but they were friends on the show, but they were friends off the show. Who they were on the show wasn't who they were off the show. But if you ever saw them on the streets, you knew them by who they were on the show.
For sure.
And sometimes what we get is the people who are on the show, not who the real person is.
For sure.
We going somewhere with today's proximity.
Okay, let's go.
Because sometimes what we get is the image and the style that you're used to seeing on the screen, but it is not what you get. Cam, take the picture off. What's behind the scenes and who the characters are and who the characters are not. And Johnny, when you start thinking about this idea that we have friends, and what do we say? Who do you need last week? How many of us have them? It's ones we can depend on. The question would be that when you think about the kind of friend you want, talk to me about the kind of friend you want to have in your life.
Yeah. I think that's such a great question. Oh my gosh. I don't want to draw out the answer, but I'm thinking back to you all's conversations last week and the different levels of friendship. I think each level is very important and significant in your life, regardless. So the type of friend I want sort of depends on that level that we're talking about. You know, I'm not expecting my acquaintance, someone I run into every now and again, to give me what my best friend gives me. You know, so that's a different relationship. So I don't know. It all depends on what level we're talking about. There's levels to this ish, as we say, right? Yeah. I want them, but I think across all levels, I want someone to be themselves as much as they feel comfortable being themselves. When I feel like I can connect with you on a real human level, that's when we move from those different levels, right? That's when we have some type of connection. So it just being able to be yourself. You know, you may not give me all of you, which is totally fine, but at least I know if I'm getting the genuine person, I think that goes across each level of the different friendships.
What about you, E? What do you think?
I mean, I don't have a lot of friends. And I think it's because I don't let a lot of people close into the proximity of me. Like people, like I agree with you, Johnny, that there are levels to it, right? And there's always going to be people to fit in every category for you. But because of the distinction of those categories and where I choose to give my energy, like once you're inside a certain space with me, like there's nothing to it. Like you're just in the oven with me, right? Like we're cooking, we're doing whatever. But like if you out there, like you out there, and I may see you, I wave when we pass and all that. Like, but I don't like I try my best to be honest to who I am at all times, and like if we're not connected, to Johnny's point, like if we're not truly connected in a way where you have really worked to get to know me outside of the perception of me, I'm already good, because I already know that me myself, I already come with a certain perception that people kind of distinguish. Like you may think I'm this funny, I'm going all this stuff, like, but you don't know, most of the time I'm going to be quiet.
Yeah.
And don't talk to nobody. You know what I'm saying? Like there's the whole Eric, and he can be performative and all of these things, but his real friends know him, and they know that he doesn't always need to be on. They know that he can sit there and chill, and they try to engage with him in a more deep, intellectual, connective way versus just the arbitrary, oh, such and such, let's tell jokes and do like, nah, like if you try to throw me in shallow water, I'm splash it all out. You know what I'm saying? Like my friendships got to be deep, and that's what makes me have so few friends, because I have deep friends, not just, these ain't throwaway relationships. These ain't, we connect. Yeah. So like, I think all of my friends are close friends. Like I don't have like casual friends and acquaintances as much as like they're just people who know me and know of me, and I may know of them, but like I wouldn't even like put them in the casual friends, because I don't do nothing with you. I don't do, you know what I'm saying? Like at all. Like I make no time for you. Like even if we was sitting there about to have lunch at the same time in the same place, like I'm not even gonna opt to sit at your table and eat with you. Like we'll sit in two different spaces and eat. That's not an even acquaintance to me, because like I would sit with an acquaintance.
Got it.
But what I would suggest is that maybe the characters that you saw on the show are the acquaintance and are the casual friends. But behind the camera is where the close and the best or intimate friend comes. And that's where the layers begin. Because oftentimes friend is defined not by how you define it, but how somebody else defines who you are. And that's how I want to introduce our guest for today. I know what everybody been waiting for. This person is let me get
ready.
Get your timer.
Tonight's guest is one that you all are not going to want to miss. He is a powerhouse in the world of talent and leadership development. He is a husband, he is a father, he is a mentor, he is a friend, and he is someone who leads with purpose and presence. Dr. Roti Balogun is the former managing director at an institution that we all know very, very well. He is no longer there because he is now taking his talents, not to South Beach, but to all over the world, where he has been responsible for supporting leaders, defining culture, developing strategies. And the organization he was a part of had over 130,000 people globally. So this one is no lightweight coming to the stage, if you will. He was before the last role he was in at GE. He was at Ericsson of Africa, where he worked in talent, where he worked in learning, and he was an inclusion leader. Global impact is what I'm telling y'all this person makes. He holds a degree in software engineering, an MBA from Emerald College in London, a doctorate in education at the University of Penn. And if you've been at the University of Penn, the man has his name on a wall in a space that you might need to go to in the business school. He is a certified emotional intelligence coach, thought leader, someone who makes you feel better just by being in the room. And if you don't know this man, you're about to know. So tonight, we are here to talk about something beyond titles, not just the question of friends, but how proximate you are to a friend who, for me, was a boss. To me, he is a brother. To me, he is a father. To me, he is somebody who has been instrumental in helping make my life be better. And so, EMM family, friends, put your hands together for Dr. Roti.
what an intro.
Woohoo! What an introduction. See,
2
don't
minutes.
do that to me.
It was so good.
Awesome. Thanks for
Welcome,
having me.
brother. Welcome. Welcome to the room. Welcome to the room. How are you feeling about being here tonight?
I am feeling chuffed, man. Looking forward to the conversation. I think after that introduction, I need to just go hide my face because the real guy is just going to have a conversation without all the titles. Well, listen, great to be in a room of friends. And I had a great backstage conversation. I'm looking forward to the front one as well.
Yes, yes. So we love in this conversation when we start off with new guests, we love rapid fire questions. And so I'm gonna throw out a couple of rapid fire questions, and then I'm gonna pass it to Johnny, pass it to E, and we have a lot of dialogue we want to break down today, especially in the context of relationship proximity. And so with that in mind, Roti, who is your best friend?
Rookie.
Who is that? How long you been married?
She is this gorgeous, beautiful woman that I've been friends with for the last 18 years. And we've been married for the last 12 of them.
Beautiful.
When you think about what wakes you up in the morning and brings you joy, what is it?
The breath of Jesus in my life. Just knowing that I wake up with, the breath to be able to see another day. And then right next to that, I turn around and I see my 4-year-old daughter that refuses to stay in her room and sneaks into my bed every other evening. If you guys have tips on getting her back to her room, please let me know. But she is Rookie and I's absolute joy right now. It took us a while, but now she's here with us and we love her.
Oh, that's beautiful.
In the context of our conversation around friendship proximity, when you think about the term friendship, what comes to your mind and how might you define it for us?
Trust. That's what comes to mind. I think that true friendships, whether personal or professional, just strive on trust, right? And I think to your earlier conversation, without trusts, I think friendships are just acquaintances, right? And the conversation on trust is very layered because building trust isn't easy. But the way I see a friend is it's just that person that exudes this reliability, the confidence that just gives me permission to be me. That's really what I see as a friend. I say that person that just has that uncanny ability, right? I see a friend as someone that is actually competent. That ability to truly be there and me rely on that person in any area of my life. And that's a broad sort of definition of ability. I would also say that I see a friend as someone that just consistently has good intentions.
That's
good
good.
Intentions. Yeah.
That's good.
One more.
Okay.
I see a friend as someone with uncompromising integrity. Our values just naturally align. There's just something honest about the relationship. And so everything about that is trust for me as friendship.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
That's
good. That's really good. Okay. So Roti, you are like such a wise person. It's like when you speak, everyone needs to listen. So I want to know what is a lesson that life continues to teach you? And just like when you think you've kind of got it, it kind of shows up again.
That it's hard to make love visible every day.
Say more about that.
why is it? Yeah, why is it hard, Roti?
Right.
I mean,
So
I get it. Yeah.
it is. So love is I feel like it's easier to show
Okay.
love at home, right?
Yeah.
Family, my beautiful wife, daughter, it just, comes. And, I've been given that mission and duty to love, right? The context of love at work or communities that we operate us in, and just the most important commandment that my father has given in us is to love our neighbors as ourselves. That one is hard because until, at least in the work context, being able to see the concept of love not as a feel-good factor, but as a
Yeah.
truly competitive
Yeah.
differentiation is hard, right?
It is hard.
And so that's been my mission, because I spend a lot of hours at work, right? I've got to make it visible, and it is really hard, to do it.
I was
But
just
it's
listening
possible.
to I was listening to a minister this morning, and she mentioned just that. She mentioned how love is easy when you're talking about someone you love, right? Your close friends, your
Right,
close family, and but
right,
love is an action. So how do you
right.
demonstrate that action when you don't necessarily want to, when it's not so easy? And so it just is
Mhm.
this concept that I'm really thinking about love being a verb and it's an action word, and how do you show it and do it every day, instead of just something that you feel and say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah, that's
right,
good.
right,
That's really good.
right.
E, I'll give it to you, brother.
Well, Roti, I wanna learn a little bit more about you, the man behind the motivations, right? Like, so I know you're a very cultured man who has been and seen a lot of things. What is something that curated who you chose to be today and set the example for you?
That's good.
Yeah, Jesus is something or someone, because it's a bit of both.
We'll
Um,
talk about
the
both then.
someone, the someone is undeniably my mother. There's nothing like a strong back woman. So Joni just kept, just do that.
My Liege.
Yep.
She raised me as a single mom. She raised me as a
Right.
single mother. I lost my father when I was 10.
Yeah.
She gave me the best education that the world could offer, and my other two siblings as well. Um, she taught me a lot of things about uncompromising excellence in anything that I do, with God at the center. And that, always sat with me. And so, beyond curating my life at a young age and curating the education I had, right? The most important thing that I think she did was give me courage.
Mm.
And courage being, I've seen my mom walk out of boardrooms in tears. As a young man, being able to wipe those tears and remind myself that if I'm in any rooms, that I can prevent someone I love
Hmm.
in those tears, I will do it,
Mm.
right? I will give my all to do it. And so that translates into how I lead. And probably Chris will tell you, I think leading with love is an uncompromising philosophy that I have. And that's generally what has made me into who I am today. Let's leave the some things out because there are many things.
Yeah.
That someone is very special.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So I got a follow-up question. So do you have a friend that your mom told you couldn't be friends with because he got you in trouble?
That I couldn't be friends with. Was that the question?
Yes. Yeah. You have any friends that your mama was like, stay away from him because he ain't your friend. He ain't your friend.
And then found out that she was right.
I don't It's a great question. Geez, man, because to answer that as authentically as I would, so no, at least when I was young, I was kind of that golden child, and she was like, "Hey, it's okay," and I kind of knew who to stay away from and all of that.
Yeah.
But when I grew up a little bit, right, she said to me that my choice of my best friend, she wasn't in full agreement with it. And that for me took me to the next level and the next layer of what true friendship was in choosing my life partner. Fast forward to that heavy response is my mom and my life partner are best friends now. So I got lucky that those usually don't happen, right? But there was a time when in making that choice of her, my mom was probably the first time actually that said to me, "Not now."
Wow.
All right, that's that.
Hey, that was a telling question. I might, hey, look, hey, Roti, behind the scenes, I might have to dig in.
Go. We're here.
CT, I'm gonna pass it over to you.
No, man, that's a great question because I was like, oh yeah, there was clearly his name was Man. His name was Man. His name was Man. We lived in a place where my mother was like, listen, no, you cannot be friends with him. Because my mother was, I think, fearful that we weren't too far from when I was growing up, what one might refer to as gang territory early on. And I was always a product of whenever things get too bad, we move you from those things that are bad, whether it is literally geography or if it is a job or if it's people. My life has been this place where before things go real crazy, God will remove me from that space. And then Man was somebody I don't even remember his real name because that was his nickname. That's
that
just
was
who
enough. That's
we
enough.
talked to then. So I want to go back to some Roti because I think this is the essence of who you are in the context of love being made visible, right? So you said love being made visible, and when we work together, one of the things that is probably a good story to share in this moment is when we first met, you did not love me. And it's not that you aren't somebody who doesn't love people when you first get started with them, but sometimes the experiences that you have with people make you not want to love them, but you learn to love them. And so I'd love for you to maybe share like a little bit of our story in the context of this friendship proximity, because because we grew on each other. Like we had a good thing, but we grew on each other. But man, in the context of our friendship proximity, how did our friendship evolve, if you will?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is called tea.
Oh, this is called set up. All right, listen. So.
Juicy, baby, let's go.
Let me correct that.
Hey, look, they showed up for the tea.
Everybody thinks
so. I've always loved you, bro. I think that's how I'll start off. It's a little bit rocky on the start, but hey, but no, actually, it was beautiful, Rocky, because I came in on this white unicorn to the largest financial services firm in the world when DI or DOI or whatever it's called now, was an important topic, and I had inherited a team that I thought I knew, right? And then I got a call just a couple of weeks before joining that I was going to inherit even another team, right? That was a good, let's change the word. I was going to use a different one, but was a good group of really exceptional DEI leaders in the business, right, that needed to kind of be a part of HR. And there was, this gentleman with nicely bald head show up called CT that had everything that you wanted in a potential friend. The person that said to you very directly on the first day meeting him, like, hey, listen, you're going to enjoy this place, but I'm the guy that is going to tell you the truth. I'm the guy that kind of understands, what is happening, the history of what's happening, and it's in your best interest to listen, right? And hear me out.
Okay.
It was a very, direct, thoughtful, introduction as, all right, what did I just get into? But anyway, scratch. But what the conversations that was happening in the spirit was, I also saw this spirit-filled man that I knew that I would be unable to fit into an org chart. And so knowing that up front, right, helps to define the friendship and the relationship itself. Because one, I needed to get to know the man behind the man. I needed to get to know the truth behind the truth. And I needed to understand that there was a calling within the workplace that he had that I needed to channel, harness, and use to deliver real impact if I was going to have any chance to succeed in the role. And so that was meeting. The relationship blossomed when I realized that it was important to recognize that gift early, right? And not be ashamed of it. The guy has a bolder head than I do. He is more eloquent on stage than I could be. He was deeper in the spirit realm that I could. The guy rapped. I tried to actually sing a bloody song at my offsite, my very first leadership offsite, and the guy was singing, soprano. He took it like to the next level. I'm like, who is this dude? Get him out of the room.
Yes,
But anyway,
get him out.
I realized again that this friend, this brother, was going to be someone that was going to be hard to manage without saying, but was going to be the best gift for me in that sit. And that's what really happened. We just continued to unpack that through the different roles, through the org evolution, all the way till, we said, it's time to go do something else outside of here.
That's right.
That was the journey with CT, and I just appreciate you for that, man, because it's impossible. We'll need 3 podcasts to talk about it.
Yeah, right. And that's why I think the picture at the beginning really does tell a bit of the tale, in the sense that a lot of people, when you first meet them, they want to give you the character. They want to give you the person who you see on the TV screen that everybody either loves and they like to connect and relate to it. But behind it, there's something else that is happening in someone's life. And I think that I honor very much that our relationship was an honest one. It was a truthful one. And it didn't start with the idea that we need to be acquaintances first. It was oftentimes in the work context, people try to be something that they aren't. And when you do that, you lose something in the ability to get to truth, like you said before, to ultimately get to a place of love. And so when you think about advice you might give people as they think about whether it is in the work context or otherwise, like, how does somebody actually do what we did with each other? Because not everybody, excuse me, not everybody is, not everybody shows up honest or true. So how do they do that?
Yeah, it's honestly like, it's hard to say how we evolved through, because we skipped being acquaintances quickly, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We went right through, being casual to very quickly being close, and I'd argue in the workplace being a best friend.
Yeah.
And I find that, you guys have, dealt with this topic and how long you get through each of these levels, and but the reality is you're able to go through each of those levels if at the center of the why you're going through those levels, you understand what a successful friendship actually looks like.
Yeah.
I generally think in mathematical terms, so forgive me, I'm going to throw one in there, right? But I think that what helped us and what I think should help people is as they see their own individual CTs or friends in their lives, a strong, successful friendship looks like purpose, right? So why is the friendship there in the first place? Plus intentionality, right? These are all the things, right, that you need to do, which is intentionality is the time and energy put into communicating with that individual. It's the little acts of goodwill, those small gestures that show care.
Yeah.
It is the emotional support, right? Just being available in difficult times. I think that when you have a clear purpose and a reason why that friendship should be there, when you're very clear about those things that you need to intentionally, consistently do, so purpose plus that intentionality, how you get through these levels is trust. So I would say the end of that equation is multiplied by trust, right? Because the reality is trust is going to be broken. It's going to be rebuilt. You're going to have to forgive and you're going to have to move. And so I always say that, for me, that purpose, knowing why that friendship is there, whether it's an acquaintance, casual, close friend, best friend, the little things I need to do to be intentional about those friendships. And ultimately, my definition and the common understanding of what trust really is, right, is kind of what helps me to define the relationships like the one I had with you, like the one that I had with the entire leadership team. It is impossible for me to be a real leader that leads with love to actually have a leadership team that are just my acquaintances. It's just you're not really leading, right? It is impossible, right, to have a leadership team that is probably just 70% casual and 30% of them are close. Maybe. Let's see. It could work, right? Yeah. But I argue that you at least have to have a 50-50 break between casual on your leadership team and close friends. You maybe don't have to have a best friend, right? Jesus love.
Yeah.
Right.
So like, all right. Yeah. But I argue that, as a leader in practical terms, right, it is really, really important that as you think through your own sort of formulae to building relationship and leading teams, that you have a healthy balance in the workplace. I hear you guys, I try to sort of segment it, right? Like in the workplace, I can have an acquaintance, I can have a casual friend, I can have a close friend, I can have a best friend. Outside of the workplace, I probably have the same. And it's just easier for me to be able to define those relationships in a way that I deepen it to the level that is appropriate, that avoids favoritism, but it's at a level where I can actually truly build workplace allyship, which is another complete topic.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, that's kind of my own thoughts.
Yeah. So, Roti, when we're talking about friends at work, and sometimes people do come to work and just think these are not my friends. These are people that I work with, and I think that's a way that we protect ourselves, right? Maybe we've been burned before in the past. Maybe it's cultural. Some of us may have been taught, like, when you go to work, those people are not your friends. They are there to fulfill one purpose, and that's to provide you with a paycheck and to help you get that paycheck. And then that's it, because you can't trust these people at your job, whatever it is, right? So what would you say? Maybe like, what would you say to that in response to that? And also, what are some of the benefits? Why is it even important now for us to have these close relationships or friendships at work? What does that do for you personally, and then like overall? Like, what's the benefit of that?
Yeah, so look, it's hard to, because people have been burnt, right? So it's hard
Yeah.
to argue that, you shouldn't have a work friend. But actually, let's maybe park the term friend for a minute, right?
Okay.
Just for a minute, because it connotes a lot of closeness and do's and do nots, right?
Yep.
So you have acquaintances, okay, that doesn't have the friend verb with it, so that's just surface level connections, right? And then you have friendly colleagues, right? Just have colleagues that you're kind of like you enjoy talking to, you occasionally walk with, and all of that, right? They share some personal details with you, sometimes they don't, right? But then let's move on to having a trusted colleague and confidant. And whether, if you take the friend term away, it is important to have a trusted colleague and confidant in the workplace, right? Let's take it a step further, right? Is it important to have a workplace ally and a deeply trusted colleague in the workplace? And that, for me, are the comparison points between a close friend and a best friend at work, because the reality is that, yes, it's okay to leave relationships, and try not to lean into them in the workplace and make it completely. However, I want to be my best. And in being my best, I want an environment where I'm psychologically safe, where I have mutual trust and professional respect, where someone that I spend 40 hours with supports me through my work struggles. That defines to me what a trusted colleague looks like, right? I.e., right, a close friend, right? I want to be able to get advice from CT, for goodness sake, right?
I know.
And how am I able to do that, right? So again, that for me is kind of, so that first point, people can choose to protect, but I think if you're going to get the best out of work, and work in itself is actually love that is visible. It's a show of what love should be, what the scratch. They are very spiritual and deep concept of the concept of work itself, and where it started from, back at the time of Adam to sin, and so maybe another podcast. But the reality is that there is a requirement for us to love our neighbors deeply. And if that happens in the workplace, great. We just need to learn to do it within the parameters of that. The benefits, totally, as you can imagine. I think I said at the start, and people, when I said making love visible, I'll just say the individual benefits are significant, right? But I envisage and I dream of a world where it's not just about the individual kindness that comes out of love, right? It's about designing systems, cultures, leadership practices that just enable love and friendship grow in organizations, right? Because I'm convinced that if organizations prioritize love and not all this engagement packs and everything, innovation, trust, success. There's actually a business case and there's a return on investment of thinking about this differently. So, I have a lifelong work on working around the business case of friendship and work. But we'll see.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I love that. I mean, I myself, right now, I happen to be in a role that I really love. Feel like it was tailor-made for me, and part of that is because I'm working alongside people that I trust. That show up. We show up for each other. We've celebrated together. We've lost things together, and we've kind of shared that amongst each other. And we show up for each other in ways that hasn't always been there in different relationships. And it is making me better. is making me want to be better because of them. Not only do they do work well, but they do the human aspect well, you know, the peopling part, as I would say. And then it makes me want to be better when I show up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the way. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not in that space, Johnny. That's not me. So that must be nice. That must be nice.
It is nice because I haven't always been there.
That must be nice. and both of y'all are free. That must be nice. That must be nice. Like I would say things like yes and no and yes and friends at work. Friends, no. Proximity, no. Friends, no. Proximity, no. Like I ain't doing none of that. No. No, not right now. No, that may be helpful at some point. Right now, no. I'm just playing. But no, Roti, I do wanna like kind of pull on that as well to say like, well, to kind of like pull a little bit more on like the importance of who you do choose to be acquainted with at work, because like to Johnny's kind of point, right? Like I am one of those people who am cool with everybody. Like I am cool with the air that just passed me. I keep it moving, right? You know, like I'm cool with I'm never going to care unless you want me to, right? So there are these nuanced things in corporate America or in professionalism where people want you to be their friend in order for you to be anything. Because unless you're their friend, you're nothing, right? I know that we've all kind of seen this sort of experiences at some point where your value was measured in the friendship meter, and if you didn't raise to a certain level of being a friend, you necessarily didn't provide value. Roti, have you experienced anything in your time where your engagement with people and your lack of proximity or lack of friendship lost you opportunities, closed doors, shrunk your network?
Yes. All the time. Yes. How
did you power through that? Because I know all of us. That's why I'm saying, like, I know all of us do. Like, how do you power through that, right? And I know it's a tough question because it's like, look, we ain't friends. And the way you acting, I don't want to be your friend, but apparently friendship is required here. Somebody ever strong arm friendship you, Roti? Somebody ever like just showed up at your party and was like, I'm here. This is my party too. You like, yeah, you gotta go. ready to kick somebody out the party.
Quite a few.
People do try to force friendships on you, right? Like they're like, and you know what? You're not cool with me. Like, no,
I'm
so interested in Roti's response.
It's a hard one. That's all I can say. It's been really. There's so many freaking flashbacks and pictures that are showing up in my.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean. Did we just all trauma bond for like 5 seconds?
I think we did. No one was saying anything.
Nobody did. We were shell shocked. Hey, go back and watch that, guys. We were all shell shocked for a split second.
We're all thinking about experiences.
So, look, I definitely get help in those situations from a source that is bigger than me. That's the reality.
Thank you.
I think I use the example. Of my best friend, my lifelong partner, because we actually met at work. We worked together. In fact, she interned. So Jody, please, I know that you were supposed to address, right? So, right. She interned with a group of other interns, and I was this goddamn really good engineer, right? Like I was, I wanted to be the best engineer there was, and but somehow her friendship allowed me to connect to the higher calling as an HR leader. And that's why I'm an HR leader today, purely because I explored that friendship, right? Even though I had resistance from, the most important people in my life. And we are happily married today. And all the resistance, right, has fallen in love in place with that choice. So I say that because that's the most extreme example that I have gone through, and that in every scenario that I've been in any workplace, doors closed, forced friendships, all of that, I'm like, if that had happened to me and I got over it and I got the strength from my highest source of inspiration, my father, then there wasn't anything that I couldn't overcome. And so I've just learned to be able to forgive unconditionally, right? I've learned, I've been in scenarios actually at least 4 times in my short career, actually, that I was reporting to someone and flip-flop, the person started reporting to me. 4 times. This is right. So there's certain patterns that happen that you realize that certain things are just supposed to grow you for the moment. It's just supposed to happen. That person that was in your life as a leader, you start to report to the person. I would work for CT any day because of the relationship that we had, right?
What?
So listen,
Johnny, you said you would?
I do think.
Let him finish. Let him finish.
It is completely hard to compare any scenario with the next scenario. I just go into each particular scenario, realizing that there's a purpose and there's a reason why this work relationship and friendship either needs to blossom or not, and realize that those moments matter, and I need to tactfully and skillfully make sure that I don't burn bridges through that relationship. And I think ultimately, I've been able to get through those hard ones. But that's been me. It's hard.
Love that. Thank you. Thank you.
I think the hardest things, period, are the things that grow us the most.
Absolutely.
And the hardest things, most specifically, what do they say, that the thing that creates the diamond is the pressure. And I think the thing that causes any relationship, whether it's work, whether it is marriage, whether it is your children, whether it is whatever ecosystem you choose to go into, that you don't know what's true about it until there is pressure being placed upon it. I think it is Abraham Lincoln that said, you will understand the character of the man when put under pressure. And so if I want to have real friendship, then I can't know the truth of your character. Bang, back to the picture. I don't know if you're being Ross or if you're being the real person until I have an opportunity to have that thing be under pressure. I am struck, Roti, by the picture that's behind you, that when I think about the thoughtfulness of the men in that picture and how they are all in kind of this posture, if you will, but they experienced pressure in their lives, and that pressure created something really unique and special. And I know if I had an opportunity to call any of them friends in my lifetime, I would, because there's something I could learn from them. Not because they are my friend, but if I could call them friend, there is something more that I could learn because of the definition of friend. So my last question with you is that picture behind you has, and I know you know each of the ones in that picture, and this one's not in our questions because this one was inspired by me seeing this behind you. And I've seen it before, but I never had the curiosity to ask the question. if you had to have one of them be your best friend, which one of those men behind you would you say, yeah, that would be my best friend, and why?
Nelson Mandela.
Mm.
You know, I try to bring the spirit of Ubuntu, as you would
Yes, you
know,
do.
which is
Yes,
a
you
South
do.
African term for I am because you are, right?
Mm.
And so it's a concept of community. It's a concept that I cannot exist on my own. I cannot succeed on my own. Um, every one of us needs one friend, whether at work or otherwise. And so Nelson also, in his journey and greatness, um, he epitomized the thought that, no one was really born to hate, right?
Mhm.
And that love is a concept that can be taught. And so that's why I believe that I'm crazy enough to move on from making love visible in small environments to actually scale love, right? And so making love scalable is my next mission. I think that, if Nelson was here, I'll lean onto him to give me a nudge to keep going.
Love it.
That's so good.
I
I
like
love
that.
it.
Yeah,
I
this
like
is
it.
That was rich. That was good.
so
I
good.
like it. I like it a lot.
Mhm.
I just want y'all to know I wouldn't work for CT.
Yes,
You
you
know,
would.
no, he won't invite me to anything. He would have me do the same thing you had me do, Johnny. He
The
had me
circle.
work. He had me work, but I would never be able to come to the house. So it's okay. It's all right. But with that, Bro T, this has been a wonderful conversation. I'm sorry to bring up the monotony because it's time now for one of my favorite segments. Kev, kick it on. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Pretty Lies and Ugly Truth. This is a segment that we do. It's a new segment that we get to discuss things that we tell pretty lies to cover the ugly truths of things. In today's topic, we're going to do two things. Well, the first thing we're going to touch on is friendship, but we're going to take it all the way to the outer rim because we have been going inside, right? We have been digging deep. We've made it all the way to bestie, right? Like this my BFF, but now we're taking you out to the far left field to say social media friends. Are they really your friends? The pretty lies tell us yes. Everything about it tells us yes because they like your stuff, they heart your stuff, they hug your stuff. But do they actually care about your stuff? I don't think so. Now I'm gonna ask this question to all of you, and I want your true, honest perspective. Do you actually think your social media friends are your friends? CT, I'm gonna come to you first because you got like thousands of friends, bro. I've seen your pages. Like you got a lot of followers. Is it really your friends?
Well, I think you said it. There's a different F word. Your followers, not necessarily friends, but I use the word friend liberally
Mm.
because to Roti's point earlier, there is a biblical reference in Proverbs that said there's a friend that sticks closer than a brother. And sometimes people who are showing up in those spaces need the thing that others will not provide. And so if I am someone who is supposed to be reaching more than just the people who I want to, but they're showing up in my space because I am the friend that they don't have, potentially, I, who is it to me to not offer my friendship to someone else? And so, to the extent that in my social, a part of my existence in social isn't that I'm making friends, it is that people, they say it different. I show up friendly. And because I show up friendly, then someone may want to friend me, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we are friends, close or intimate. It just means that they're following something that causes them to need whatever my friendliness will provide.
Okay. So you use social media to be friendly. I see you over there. Okay, Johnny, my liege, them your friends or not your friends?
Yeah, I would have to. I'm sort of echoing what CT
No, we're not
said.
gonna echo what he said
I
because that
will
was
if
like
I, I will if I
that
want
was like
to.
that
I
old
absolutely
heartbeat and
will if I
stuff.
want to. Yes, I
I'm just
will.
messing with you.
So I am echoing. I'm back now, baby. I will echo that.
Thought you knew.
Whatever else.
Thought you knew.
Just sassy for no reason. No, really, because I not necessarily because they don't have that close, intimate relationship. Some of them do, but then we're friends outside of social media, right? But what I do try my best to do is make sure that I'm not putting the negativity into the world. Because if you read comments, so comments are the funniest things in life, like the funniest things in life. And sometimes when I see something crazy, I'm tempted to comment or whatever, but I'm like, I'm gonna stay out of it. I'm just gonna stay out of it. And maybe me even reading it is probably too much sometimes too. But I try my best to not do that. And then I try to also show love when I'm celebrating someone. Someone has someone posed for a picture because they thought they looked good, and I think they did too. I'm going to give them the compliment. Or they said something powerful or profound that really stuck with me. I'm going to let them know. They post a recipe that I use. I'm going to make sure I kind of push that positivity forward a little bit. But close, intimate friends, not necessarily. But we are friendly. I try to be friendly if possible.
Okay. So Roti, I mean, you here? I gotta ask. I mean, they your friends. They're not your friends. What's going on? Like, listen, wait. You ain't gotta agree with CT and Johnny. You can go straight for the jugular on these people to be like, y'all not my friends. I don't like none of y'all.
No,
unfollow me.
Both of them. So the question is, who is on social media? And so if I think about friendship and I think about, it's interesting as the guys were speaking, that Facebook and Snapchat gives the false impression because of the, accept the connection. There's a mutual relationship somewhere. Whereas, TikTok and Twitter and Instagram, you just kind of need to follow, right? And so if I scratch the, Insta and Twitter and TikTok as followership, and then Facebook that, I'm kind of like here and there, right? And Snapchat I'm not even on, right? Then in reality, it's hard to answer your question. However, I do think though that the concept of friendship in social media, it always strikes me how much I have to pause to see who is a mutual connection to a new connection.
That's interesting.
When I get that. And it helps me a lot more time and not reassess, well, actually, is this mutual connection really my friend? Right? Or I might accept him because there's an implied friendship because this person is already a mutual connection. And so it's very interesting how that has even evolved as to how I accept friendships, engage. But to both your points, I see this platform as an opportunity again to scale and share love, and I can't be picky around who is led to me. I just say a little word of prayer sometimes and I accept or decline. But for the most part, I welcome people and I control it.
I love it. I love it. I just want all the EMM family to know out there that they got 3 PC answers. You're not my friend. I'm just playing. No, I think I agree. I agree with you guys that like it is what it is, right? So like just to give a little bit more like context into it, it's like I know for a fact that there are people who just watch you on social media, right? Because they're not invested in anything that you're invested in. They don't care about you as a person. they look at you as entertainment, maybe, or they're trying to measure themselves against you and your acclaim, and like, you know, they're using it for their own intrinsic reasons. But the thing says friend, right?
Yeah.
Like it says friend, it says like, it says, you know, care. These words mean things when you are actually connected to people, right? If I post something, my real friends reach out to me.
Mhm.
They don't actually go
Hmm.
on the
Very true.
comments
That's
Hmm.
very true.
and say anything.
That's yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
They never will,
Yep.
Interesting.
because
That's-
they know me. They know me well enough to know that if you want to know something about me or from me, you don't go to social media, because whatever I put on there has no real bearing, because I don't think it's real. I don't use it as anything that I would ever profess anything true on. I never have. Like, I was married for many, many years. Nobody ever seen any of that stuff on social media. Why? Because my life is closed off to those people who are supposed to get access, and I'm supposed to share those things with, because I know they actually truly value me as a friend. They wouldn't be somebody who would try to find those opportunities to poke jabs or try, you know, belittle you.
Yeah.
But that's typically the only thing that most people will do on these platforms now, because they're not really your friends. Now, the people who are really your friends, like they, to Johnny's point, there are times I see y'all post stuff or we all post stuff and we show up for each other, because it's like, hey, we really know that we really mean these things because we're really friends, right? Like, but there are those same people who see us post what we do and the things that we promote. They don't show up. They ain't here. They ain't tuning in. They ain't in the chat. They ain't tapping in. They ain't subscribed. They ain't doing nothing. But let you post something that you're going through something, or let you put something. They show up. They show you giving away something free, CT, when you out there doing those webinars and all that stuff. Hey. But some of the stuff that you can do as friends are free too. So I said I wanted to bring up this because I just think it's a very fun conversation to really tell that the pretty lie is that it says friend, but the other truth is they ain't your friends. Ain't nobody really on there your friends. Your friends are going to be people who actually care about the person behind the button. Always remember that. All right. So now I have something I want your perspective on. Johnny, since you are my tree hugger lover, I'm going to go ahead and play this video. Cam, can you run the leaf video? Because we want to understand how friends would perceive this. Are you the leaf or are you the child? I think I'm the child. Just mind your business.
Derek?
Dad, look at the leaves!
Oh, go for it, kiddo.
I love the leaves! Come on, Dad!
I'm watching. I'm watching, hon.
Dad, can you hear them crunching?
So, Johnny, have you ever jumped into a pile of leaves before?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will you do it again?
Oh yeah, for sure. I don't think a leaf. I think a leaf knows like this is the cycle of life. This is a part of life.
Do they?
I don't think they're screaming and yelling on the way down. I think
That was dramatic. I think that leaf.
I think there's like it's my turn. It's my time.
That is not how that leaf went down.
No, so I think this is false advertisement. This is
You
fake
do?
news. Yeah. This is
So,
all
ladies
fake.
and gentlemen, those who are audio only, what we watched was a video of a leaf that was falling and broke down. It was falling, it was floating, and it was going through a traumatic, hellacious descent into it landed into a pile of additional leaves that had fallen off the tree that looked like a graveyard of leaves. It looked horrendous visually, like it looked bad, right? And then what happened was there was a man and the child decided to go run and jump in leaves like all kids would do in a big pile of leaves. It was a beautiful scene for the father and the child, but for the leaves, when you hear the crunching and all that stuff, they're still crunchy. It seemed pretty traumatic. You don't think that leaves are traumatized after you jump on them?
No.
No?
No.
Leaves aren't things?
I think they're following the circle of life, baby. They're like, this is part of it. This is nature. Why would they be traumatized over something that they know is going to happen and they've been waiting for it? They've been preparing for it. They have scientifically been preparing for this moment. So
I don't think that leaf was ready. I mean, Roti, I'm gonna ask you, did you think the leaf was actually ready to go down?
Leave me out of this one.
Yeah, this is
I just wanted to get Johnny's reaction because I knew that she would be like this. She's like, I don't care about the leaf. Right. She instantly.
Yeah, right.
She instantly.
Like that is like so false. That's not even
right.
real.
Just like, yeah, you're supposed to be at the bottom of Pride Rock getting, yeah, that's right. That's what you're supposed to. Thank you. Okay. All right. CT, what about you? How'd you feel? Circle of life for you too? Or you
I'm not even sure if I'm still here. I think can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you, but you're
frozen though.
Yeah, like are you
the visual is really good though. It
is. Like, listen, are you auditioning for the next Bad Boy movie or something? Because like I'm telling you, there is a spot for you. Like, listen, you could be a stand-in for Martin.
This is probably the look I'm supposed to have when responding to what you just showed us. I think I'd almost prefer that there be no picture on camera, like because there is not one in front of me right now because the foolishness you just put our audience through.
Hey, look, hey, listen, look. Every now and then, you know, that's why I said, you know, the Pretty Lies of the Truth is gonna be something we're gonna do. Like, you know, at the end of the day, that was an ugly truth about what fall is. I mean, that's what it looks like for the leaves. Y'all think it's all pretty. The kids jumping in the leaves. That's what the leaves see. But it's okay. Y'all don't care. We're gonna go ahead and move forward because you know I just want to have fun. Johnny, my liege, I think right now we have made it into that space where we are going to go ahead and start asking for our final thoughts. Now, Friendship Proximity Part 2 took us through some ups and downs. We got to hear some insight from Roti. We got to hear some intimate tea between him and CT. And we learned some details about what made their friendship blossom behind the scenes of what most people would have saw as most likely like a turbulent start, right? Like some people would never be able to develop the relationship, but it really took two genuine human beings to get to that space. So, Johnny, I want to hear your final thoughts on our conversation.
But just real quick before we move to final thoughts,
yes,
we have a question in the chat that I wanted to make sure that we address. Cam, can you put that up just real quick? I know we're coming close on time, but while we have Roti here, so how do you get across the barrier or the excuse of no time on a team to truly put these practices into place, especially if your leader or yourself is in a very fast-paced environment? So you're moving so fast, Roti, you're going through, you're doing all the things, you know, meeting all the deadlines, doing all the tasks. How do you make sure that you carve out that time, or how do you get across that barrier of like, we don't have any time?
Yeah, I think it's an irresponsible response not to have time when time controls you. I think that as a leader, you make time for what matters. You essentially build in rituals that allow what you aim to see, the vision of what that team looks like, right? In a way that you just need to do a little, and then you create that ripple effect that the team actually become the psychological support for each other. So it's not all on you as a leader, right? But I think you have that responsibility to create the time and moments that matter, do it well, invest in the right relationships, find a CT-like person that you can't put in an org chart
Yeah.
in your team that can potentially ignite, right? And yeah, and yeah, but most importantly, make the time. No excuses. Leadership is hard.
Yes. I love that you said make those like small changes, make those tiny efforts. Those small changes, those little bitty things add up to now you have a culture where you have built authentic relationships, right? And all it takes is just those simple things. So I love that you said that. Um, great question. Really great question. So as my final thought, I think I would just say that one of the questions that CT sort of posed as we were thinking about this topic is, what's one thing you think people overlook when it comes to friendships? And and the importance of that. And I feel like sometimes we overlook the fact that simply friendships are important. Man was not meant to be alone, right? We are social creatures. God created us to be social creatures. And I think sometimes we hear that like, well, I don't need anybody. I'm good all by myself. I don't need anybody. I think that's just a way for us to protect ourselves once again. But we need people, man. We need those relationships. We need people to be able to lean on, and just all the things that you go through in life to realize that you're not alone and other people are experiencing it too. They're there to support you. They're there to lift you up. Sometimes they're just to listen. So don't underestimate the importance of friendship, whether it is at work, because we spend a lot of time there at work, or in our personal lives. I think that for me, relationships are relationships. They look a little different depending on where you are, and how I met you, and the dynamic we have. But relationships are really relationships, right? And I think I have a lot of friends. I believe I have a lot of friends, and I partly because I value those relationships and also the expectations that I place on them. So I don't expect, a certain person, whoever, to show up like my best friend would. For me to expect that from that person, then that's setting false expectations. Then I'm just setting myself up to be let down. For example, my best friend, she would give me her last. But if I was holding an event and I asked her to come set up tables, she's like, I'm not doing that. But if I got mad at her, expected her to do that, then I'm setting those wrong expectations, right? So I think understanding people, who they are and where they are, is very important as well. So just value those relationships, man. It helps get you through. That's all.
It's good job.
Nice. All right. Roti, come to you for your final thoughts.
A few final thoughts. Friendship is a mirror. I think it just really shows us who we are and what we are becoming as a species. So find a friend to help you know who you are a bit more, honestly. I'll say be intentional. Small steps are important. I'll say be generous. Friendships really truly strive when we give and receive. And I'll say finally, remember Friendship Day. So the interesting thing is the first week, I think, of August is, since many, many decades ago, has been Friendship Day in the US. July 30th is International Friendship Day. And you may not be that person that is, you're only waiting for Easter and Christmas and Valentine. But the most powerful thing about friendship, that even though it's a daily habit with people that we bring up close, there's a recognition actually that friendship, is an important thing to be celebrated. And I think that's the concept of National Friendship Day. So I've made lots of great friends. I've had friends that have celebrated me on friendship days every year. So food for thought.
I love
Good.
that.
All right.
Good.
CT, your final thoughts, sir?
Yeah, I think this has been an enlightened month when we think about this conversation we've been having about proximity and the effects of proximity, the relationships that are aligned to proximity, and more intentionally, the last couple of weeks around this concept of friendship proximity. And I have this sneaking suspicion that people are looking for intimacy and closeness and proximity to not just what somebody is doing socially, but what's happening with them in their humanity. And if we can give ourselves permission to maybe erase what we always thought a friend was and just were, maybe people would stop trying to do all the things that caused us to be friends, and they would just be who they are, and then we could just be friends. And to the extent that this conversation, as we move into the next month, if we can get proximate to anything, maybe we get more proximate to who we really are and what's really going on inside of us. And what conversations are we having that are causing us to do something that is, as E might suggest on social media, do something that is just a fast follow or gaslighting or trolling. Maybe people are looking for something that they truly wish and hope to be. And so, in the interest of proximity, and my final thoughts for this month, it is get proximate with you so somebody can find you. And when they do, be a friend.
All right. All right. Okay.
Wow.
All right. Yeah.
Final
Yeah.
thoughts.
Final thoughts. All right. Well, yeah. I lit three. I mean, like the three doctors just went before me. I'm not going behind that. So I just want y'all to know.
What you gonna say? Come on, E.
Well, I ain't got nothing for you. Look, what I got. No, I got you. I'm not your friend. I'm just playing.
I knew it. That's what I said. What you got? I knew it.
I can't help it. No, this has been a great conversation overall, guys. I really, Roti, thank you so much for adding your voice to the conversation, and the behind the scenes and everything that you added just elevates. And we definitely appreciate the presence that you bring in that voice and that presence of mind to be able to be a thought leader and to lead with love, because a lot of people don't realize how hard it is to be a man that leads with love. So shout out to you. So I guess for my final thoughts is just really, do really go get a friend, right? Like everybody needs somebody, right? My friends swim around in the aquarium out there, and then the other one sits in the dirt, and I feed them and take care of them. But then I have other friends like Johnny, My Liege, and CT, where if I need something, I can call them. Cam is the man. If I really need to vent, that man to be there. I be sending these people videos and stuff at 3:00 in the morning, and they've never cussed me out. So I just wanted you to know, what I'm saying? Like, I know that I press the limit to be a friend, right? Like I'm that guy that you like. If we're friends, you can ask me for anything, and I'll do anything for you too. But at the end of the day, that also means you got to deal with all the crazy stuff that may come up. But it's always random and sporadic, and it's like minuscule. Like it's just like a little, sprinkle of chaos, just not enough to break anything. But it's always fun. But yeah, go out there and get your friend, get friend up. It will be, cuffing season is over. It is now about to be spring. So spring into action, get you some friends that you can go out here and enjoy the weather. Just don't be in Tampa in the little hot box that CT won't let us come and chill with him at, or outside on the patio with the lacking mattresses for we can't hang out with Johnny. But Roti said we can come to this house.
I'm coming wherever it's sunshine. I need some sunshine in my life, y'all. So
that's right. Get that sunshine. Get that sunshine. If you have not signed up to like, subscribe, or follow, please do so. We are the EMM crew. Thank you so much. We love what we do, and you can just chill until the next episode. Peace.
Thanks,
good night, guys.
Thanks,
Roti.